I am stressed. You may be able to see it from the nervous tic that I'm beginning to form. But basically, I've just had the craziest week last week, super busy at work. I've got another one of those coming up next week. Next weekend, I have my high performance level 3 triathlon coaching final weekend where I have to do a presentation. But rather than leaving you without a vlog completely, what I would like to do is review 5 books that I credit with changing the trajectory of my life, changing the way I look at the world, inspiring me, invigorating me, and hopefully helping you as well. And I plan to do it in under 1 minute per book. Okay, book 1 is Black Box Thinking by Matthew Syed. The basic premise in this book is that you have to change the way you view mistakes and failure. So if you're the type of person that shies away from taking risks because you're afraid of failing, or you're the type of person that doesn't own up to mistakes or doesn't like mistakes, this is the book for you because it will give you evidence that it is good to fail. It is also very good to learn from mistakes, and it is also good not to hide mistakes. It is really interesting to read, for example, why there's so many unnecessary deaths in the healthcare system and yet there's almost none in the aviation industry because of how they both look at mistakes and failure. Great book, thoroughly recommended. Go out and read it. Book 2 is Grit by Angela Duckworth. I've always wondered why some people really doggedly go at tasks and never give up, and I've always wondered why some people just give up at the drop of the hat or sometimes never even start, and it can come down to a quality called grit. The example being West Point Military Academy in America. The greatest indicator of success through that course wasn't academic attainment, it wasn't sporting achievement, it wasn't socio-economic background, how rich they were, where they came from. What it was how much grit they had. Now, grit is passion plus perseverance, and in the book, Angela Duckworth gives you so many different ways that you can use to find what your passion is, to really drill down. It's how This Messy Happy started, and it will give you practical ways to be a grittier person. Really interesting book, thoroughly recommended. Get yourself out and read it. Book 3 is Simon Sinek's Start With Why. Another really brilliant book that really inspired me. Simon Sinek talks about why businesses are successful, why individuals are successful, and it's often because they are the people and the businesses and industries that are able to articulate their purpose, like their reason for being, their why, to a greater audience. So take, for example, Apple. Probably, technology-wise, they're even inferior to some, probably on a level playing field with most, but the reason they're so successful is they can articulate their why. We all know what they stand for. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So if you are the type of person that is not sure yet in life what your purpose is, why you're doing everything you do, you don't have that passion yet, read this book because again, he gives you practical tips on how to find your passion and how to articulate it, and then therefore how to inspire other people as well. It's just such a good book. I would recommend it to anyone. Really good stuff. Book 4 is Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. Now, in this book, Malcolm Gladwell talks about how all the small things can make a big difference. So the tipping point is a kind of an accumulation of all the small things building up until they reach a threshold or a critical mass, or as he calls it, the tipping point, and then have a huge impact. The example I really like is how in New York they tackled the crime and drugs problem on the subway in the early 1990s. They didn't go after the drug dealers and murderers and muggers. They went after fare dodgers, people that were dodging like the $1.30 fare on the subway, and they used to line them up on the platform and then kind of do a search, make an example of them all, and eventually over time people obviously stopped dodging fares, but also the criminals that were bringing guns and drugs and knives into the subway were leaving them at home because there was much more chance of them being searched, and over time it reached that critical mass where crime dropped substantially, and then people started taking pride in the subway, and then it kind of led from there, and then there was the crime dramatically dropped in the 1990s. So if you want practical advice on how to do all these small things like Team Sky's marginal gains in your life to make a big difference, this is the book for you. Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. Fifth and final book is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I just listened to it maybe a couple of months ago on audiobook, and it really has enormously already changed my life, because not only is it talking about how the little things can make a huge difference, it's really practical advice on how you can change your habits, on habit formation, how you can get rid of the bad habits by adding friction to them. Like, if you don't like the amount of TV that you watch every time you go to bed, take the TV batteries out of the remote control, remove them, put them in another drawer in another room. It makes it harder, it adds friction. Or good habits, if you want to build on good habits, like for example you want to exercise more, put your trainers by the radiator, put your clothes on the radiator, make going out the easiest option. But there are tons of little bits of practical advice. It's an amazing book about habit formation and changing your environment to make your life better. I would genuinely recommend it. I absolutely loved it. Now, these 5 books have changed the way that I view my own life. They've changed the way that I'm able to help other people. They've changed the trajectory of my life for definite, and I really think you should go out and read them. What I would appreciate though is that you do subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate if you share this content if you feel like it could help someone else. I would appreciate it if you commented down below if there's a book that you think I should be reading, because I'm always on the lookout for those, and like the video. Next week we're back up and running with some fitness tutorials. I've got some exciting vlogs coming your way, and I should be that little bit less stressed because my coaching weekend will be done and dusted, and hopefully I will have passed. Fingers crossed, I don't know. Wish me luck. I'll see you next week.